Hello, welcome back to the James Rambling Reviews for yet another episode, and in today's episode I've got a different review for you because tonight I'm going to be reviewing my thoughts on The Boys Season 4. And so if you haven't seen it already, I have put out a couple community tab posts where a few weeks back I did this whole post about I'm going to tease the fact that I'm going to be doing a Boys review, Season 4 review, because I have actually been watching the show as a whole, the first few seasons for the first time, and then obviously build the context on my thoughts on the first few seasons. And I've done one like tonight where I was teasing I'm going to be reviewing this tonight kind of thing, so you can go and check those out. I'll link those down below in this video. And so I'm actually going to be getting into the kind of context about how I have kind of experienced this show coming in as a person who just got into the series because I heard the fact that season 4 was coming out this year. So this is my first time ever watching it, and I watched this whole series back in June, I think, of this year. I watched season 1, season 2 and season 3 all in the course of a month. And then I gave season 4 its time to wrap up, have all the episodes out, and then progressively I would watch it. Like, I didn't binge watch season 4, like I would watch a couple episodes here and there in the past, like 1 week or 2 weeks or something like that. So there's definitely that. So my relationship with The Boys, it's definitely interesting, because if you've been following my channel, right, and like my whole podcast, YouTube, whatever you want to call it thing, I have been critical of Marvel and the MCU and how it's not really been hitting the same. And The Boys is pretty much a superhero storyline. It's based on a comic, and it's on Amazon Prime, right? And the whole concept is the fact that you find out that these groups of superheroes are actually bad guys, and they take this concept where the superheroes meant to be the good guys, flips it on its head, and now it's all about, oh, the superheroes are the bad guys. And it's also got political commentary and a lot of gore and a lot of violence. And so there's definitely that about it. And you've got characters like, you've got Billy Butcher, Homelander, A-Train, you've got Huey as well, who's like this guy who's in amongst all this stuff going on, and you've got like Starlight. There's a lot of characters, and so there's definitely that. And I would say when it comes to The Boys Season 1, I really did enjoy it. You could tell that there was like a particular vision and a passion for what was happening. The whole thing, the way it wrapped up, it kind of made sense. And then Season 2 rolls around, and I would say the first few episodes, it was kind of slow for me. It took ages to get going, and then once it got going, it never let up, where you could just feel the intensity rising, and it had all these payoffs and everything made sense. And I really did enjoy this whole thing with this character called Stormfront in the series, and how her character had all of this depth. And one good thing about The Boys TV show that I really do enjoy is how there's so much depth to this, like the way the gore happens. It's not just edgy for the sake of it. There was a lot of like political stuff where they'd make fun of every side of the political spectrum, so the left, the right, and how corporations are corrupt and they use these superheroes to do bad things, and it swayed public opinion and stuff like that. So then when you get to season 3, right, it gets to this interesting point where we get characters like Soulja Boy, and then throughout this show, right, I'm not going to spoil every season or whatever, but there is a big theme about how they're all trying to take out Homelander, and that is something very good about the show. And they find these ways to defeat Homelander. There's that. And I really love Karl Urban as Billy Butcher in this show. In season 3, I did really enjoy that. I really did enjoy the whole thing. But I would say season 2, it was a stronger ending, because I'm not going to spoil season 3, but with Soulja Boy, it doesn't end the way he wanted it, and that was kind of what it felt like. It was like, Stormfront got so much build up, you could invest in the character. Soulja Boy got his build up, and you could kind of invest the character, but then after a while, it was like, this just kind of ends and stuff like that. So I have said quite a lot about my context about The Boys, but that is just how this is going to go. And so when it comes to The Boys Season 4, it's a very interesting one for me, because I'm going to be honest right now. I have mentioned the fact that I enjoyed the past 3 seasons of this show. There was imperfections here and there about the episodes and stuff like that, but I would say that Season 4, the show is definitely losing its way, where a lot of the stuff isn't hitting the same as it used to. So for the first 3 episodes, right, a lot of the stuff, they're kind of just meandering around the plot, and then all this stuff just kind of happens where they're adding so much to the story. So for example, you'd have characters that have their own subplots, and things would just be happening, and there wasn't, like, they tried to find ways to have all this other stuff happening without moving the plot forward. So I didn't really enjoy the first 3 episodes, and then they added these other characters called Firecracker and Sister Sage, and they weren't very interesting. And one thing about The Boys, right, was the political commentary and how they would make fun of each side. But I felt with season 4 in particular, they were kind of just making fun of Firecracker and how she's this conspiracy theorist on the conservative side of the political spectrum, and it got a bit boring. And I won't spoil what episode this was in, but there is literally just a point in this season where they reference January 6th and it goes nowhere, and it just kind of feels a bit annoying. And I would say episode 5 is probably the best episode, because you could actually feel a bit of progress going on. They had a vision of the characters, knew what they were going to do. And so there was definitely that, and I would say that episode 5 was the only good episode. The finale for me, won't spoil that, but there was just so much going on. It's trying to set up season 5, which is the final season. So much is going on. You've got all these subplots. They're trying to wrap up all of this in one quick succession, and it gets way too overwhelming. And so when you compare it to season 1's finale, season 2's finale, season 3's finale, it feels like more of a mess than a compelling conclusion to the entire season. And so there's definitely that, and I would actually give episode 5 like an 8 out of 10. But the rest of this season is way below average. I'm not even going to give it like a 5 out of 10, a 4 out of 10, a 3 out of 10. It's like a, if you're going to rate the episodes, right, I would give the whole entire season of The Boys season 4 probably like a 1 out of 10, just because that one episode was like that. And then there's also another episode in this season where it's just like a bunch of edgy, silly stuff happening for gags and jokes, and it goes nowhere. And it's the episode after episode 5, and I'm not going to spoil what that is. And so that is how I feel about this season, is that I enjoyed episode 5, but I didn't really like the rest of the season. And so that is how I felt about The Boys season 4. Yes, this will be a longer review, but just bearing in mind, because of the length of this show and stuff like that, there is a lot to unpack here. And so that's what I would say about The Boys. That's how I feel about season 4. So that is how I felt. Stay tuned for more like this. We are getting a season 5 in 2026, so that'll be interesting. Maybe I'll actually watch that, maybe I'll actually cover that, we will see. So yeah, stay tuned for more reviews like this. This was my review on The Boys season 4. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Bye.